The recent wave of attacks using ransomware serve as sobering reminders. No industry is off limits, and no protection is bulletproof.
There are two types of companies out there: those that know that they've been hacked and those that don't yet know, but they've all been hacked.
Recent targets include a global meat producer, a key gas pipeline, hospitals, and dozens of government agencies.
We're not talking about people with conscience. We're talking about criminals who want to make money illegally or who want to do harm independent of a profit motive.
In a ransomware attack, hackers gain access to a computer system and disrupt or completely lock out users until a ransom is paid. Historically, private companies pay the money quickly and quietly. For other victims, that's not always an option.
Cities and government, I really don't think that we're in a position to negotiate with a ransomer or pay ransoms. That is just not something that we are really able to do, nor could we afford.
Kimberly LeGroux is the Chief Information Officer for the City of New Orleans. In early 2020, she led a complete infrastructure rebuild after hackers attacked and the city refused to pay the ransom.
We built those things back stronger. It did not mean that that our systems in whole were destroyed. It just meant that if we were going to really address this and tackle this problem of cybersecurity and safety, that we were going to just start with a fresh and very clean environment.
As with many attacks, the hackers likely gained access through either outdated infrastructure or a user not taking appropriate precautions.
Those legacy systems had their own holes, and we were constantly patching them and constantly modernizing other areas. And to have over 4,000 employees, we have every one of them as a point of vulnerability into our networks.
The attack on New Orleans had the capability to completely interrupt or halt government operations. Fortunately, response teams had planned for that type of disaster.
You have to know where your vulnerabilities are. You have to have a consistent plan, a continuous plan to update and modernize those things. And that's what we were doing, and we have been doing for years. So every year we were devoting another part of our budget to infrastructure improvements.
Those plans allowed LeGroux's team to move quickly with money from its cyber insurance policy to further update and secure systems. Still, LeGroux says the city must remain vigilant.
I can't say that we won't be subject to some type of ransom attack again. That is just not feasible. And it's really not realistic to think that those things won't try to happen or people won't try to compromise your systems again.
Elizabeth Newman, ABC's national security analyst and a former Homeland Security official, says this is the warfare of the future.
Unlike traditional warfare by land, by sea, we are used to thinking that the federal government is the primary defender. In this instance, the first line of defense is the individual or the company. And the federal government does not own the internet. The federal government does not own the network. We don't have the ability to put up those perimeter defenses as a whole country the way that we can when we think about protecting the homeland physically.
Security expert Frank Gaffney has raised flags about critical infrastructure vulnerabilities for decades, specifically our power grid. He says that threat goes way beyond these ransom-style attacks.
We have in our electric grid at the moment, by some estimates, as many as 200 to 300 Chinese-manufactured transformers. What could possibly go wrong, as they say? And were those to be shut down, presumably at the command of people in Beijing, the effect of that could be really catastrophic for the national security.
With this recent wave of attacks, Gaffney hopes action will finally be taken to harden the grid and protect other critical infrastructure. Action he believes could ultimately save the lives of tens of millions of Americans.
My persistent prayer has been that I'm wrong about these various challenges to our country, to our economy, yes, but to our security, to our people. I take no pleasure in being vindicated, and I will be particularly devastated if the warnings mostly unheeded about our electric grid's vulnerabilities are exploited by one or more of these enemies who understand them.
The reality is America is under attack from a number of sides, and it's the very connectivity we rely on every day that makes us most vulnerable. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.